Welcome to Newslaundry Chota Hafta. For the full episode, subscribe because it is behind the paywall and only subscribers get access to uncut, complete content. Newslaundry Hafta is our weekly wrap of all that made the news, all that didn't, and all that should have and all that shouldn't have. We agree, we disagree, we critique, and occasionally we beat each other up. But it's all good fun. Subscribe.
This is a Newslaundry podcast and you're listening to NL Hafta.
अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज़ लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. Welcome to the 327th episode of News Laundry Hafta, our longest running podcast. We bring you today's Hafta from office actually. At least two of us are in office. That is Manisha and me. Hi Manisha.
Hello.
And joining us is our producer Aditya and our wonderful sound recordist Anil. Hopefully we'll get them vaccinated. So Raman sir is in his house. Hi Raman sir.
Hi.
Also joining us on the phone line is Samrat. Hi Samrat.
Hi.
Many of you would have been reading his pieces on News Laundry. He is an author and a journalist. He's the former editor of daily newspapers in India's major metros, Delhi, Mumbai and Bangalore. He is truly cosmopolitan. He has lived all over the country. His first novel called The Urban Jungle was published by Penguin Books in 2011. Some of his literary essays and short stories have appeared in translations in German, Spanish, Italian and Portuguese. So not only is he cosmopolitan, he's international cosmopolitan. His latest publication is an edited anthology titled Insider Outsider, and it's on the issue with regarding the northeast parts of India, of which he is one of the two editors. He has recently relaunched East Wind, an independent quarterly for the northeastern part of India. It's in collaboration with the founder, Nona Arhe. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah.
So do check out East Wind and welcome Samrat. Where are you right now?
I am in Kolkata.
Right. So you shall be talking to us about the big news of the week. And joining us is our wonderful colleague Jayashree Arunachalam. She is in Chennai. Hi Jayashree, how are you?
Hi everyone, I'm good.
Right. We are recording this Hafta on the 6th of May, which is a Thursday, at 3 in the afternoon. So, let's start off with the headlines. Jayashree, can you please do the honors?
Yeah, so assembly elections have concluded in 4 states and 1 union territory. Mamata Banerjee has taken oath as the West Bengal Chief Minister amidst violence that led to the death of an estimated 20 people. At News Laundry, we'd cover this, so please read the report by Snigdhendu. I think 9 people were BJP supporters, 8 were TMC supporters, 1 was a member of the ISF, 1 CPIM, and the other had no political affiliations. Actress Kangana Ranaut's Twitter profile has been permanently suspended for the repeated violation of Twitter rules. So as of Thursday, 3 p.m., 3,980 people have died of COVID in India in the past 24 hours. 24 patients also died of oxygen shortage in a Karnataka hospital, while 13 patients died at a Chengalpet hospital in Tamil Nadu after a disruption in oxygen supply. In Delhi's Batra hospital, 12 people died due to an oxygen shortage. Meanwhile, the IPL 2021 has been postponed indefinitely on account of COVID infections within teams. High time, in my opinion. The Serum Institute's Adar Poonawalla is now in London after citing threats from powerful people, which he said in an interview, I think, to the Times. Serum now plans to invest over 2,400 crores in the UK. The Supreme Court has stayed the High Court's contempt proceedings against the centre and has sought a report on the supply of 700 MT of oxygen to Delhi. The RBI has announced a 50,000 crore liquidity for emergency healthcare. In Uttar Pradesh, a teachers' union has said that over 700 teachers died of COVID during the UP Panchayat poll duty. We'd covered this, reporter Akansha Kumar from Gorakhpur, I think where 44 teachers died, and the families said that COVID protocols were not enforced.
In fact, do see our reports of Akanksha, Ayush,
Shivangi and
Shivangi. They are out there on the ground in UP bringing you reports on how this pandemic is playing out.
You can catch it on our YouTube channel, so please go there and check it out.
We've also filed it under the website on a special section called UP COVID Disaster. So just check that out. According to a scroll report, 300 tons of foreign aid to India was not distributed for 5 days. Karnataka and Tamil Nadu have joined 6 other states in declaring journalists as frontline workers, which means they'll get priority for vaccination. In Bangalore, Tejasvi Surya has brought in a communal angle in an attempt to expose corruption in hospital bed allocation.
No, he's something else, man. I'm just blown away by.
I feel like we should discuss this because
Yes,
it is quite extraordinary.
We should, yeah.
In Maharashtra, over 400 Maratha families boycotted 30 Buddhist families for praising Ambedkar. This is happening in the same week that the Supreme Court has quashed the Maharashtra law that grants reservation to the Maratha community. And that is the major news of the week.
And in other very exciting news, the United States has backed a patent IP waiver, whatever it's called. What waiver is it? It'll just come to me. I'm, as usual, struggling for words. I think it's called the basically the waiver of the process patent of the vaccine patents, because they said at a time like this, and there are special powers, I think, with the WTO, where if there's the patent waiver, then this vaccine can be manufactured by other labs, by other pharma companies that don't have the rights or the IP of that formula.
This is quite unprecedented, right?
Yes, it's unprecedented, because usually you'd think America, I mean, I do believe Trump's America, he would never waive this, because business is everything, and if they have the IP, they will not be able, they have to be able to make profit, etc. I mean, of course, that's not the final word. I think there has to be consensus among all the countries. At least the technicalities on that, we shall try to write a piece on. In fact, my wonderful producer Aditya just handed me a phone which gave me an electric shock, and it says,
I thought you were like careful. Oh, I mustn't touch like an unsanitized one. I was like, wow, man, so
I got
impressive.
an electric shock. So it says the US approves temporary waiver of patent protection rules on COVID vaccine proposed by India, and we had actually proposed it. So I guess if it works, I have no problem if Mr. Modi decides to take credit and say, see, my friend, what's his name? Biden ka pehla naam kya hai? Joe. My friend Obama and Joe and Donald listen to me. So, but yeah, if this happens, the whole world can get vaccinated a lot sooner.
Yeah, that's great.
So yeah, those are the headlines. So we will be discussing, one is of course the cases in the Supreme Court and the High Court. Briefly, I think everyone should be aware of what is happening in the courts of India, which seem to have taken over, governance, because clearly the centre has said that we can't do this. We'll discuss the horrible behavior of Tejasvi Surya, which is consistent with his behavior as far as I've been following him.
Though in the middle I was a bit, because there was some handle saying that hats off to Tejasvi, young guy, helping out everyone so much. So I was a bit suspicious. I was like, how is this guy? Because IYC was doing a lot of work, right? So I thought maybe this is just a counter thing to IYC.
It was totally a counter. Like, it was pushed by lots of BJP handles and stuff on Twitter to sort of praise him as soon as Srinivas started getting praised.
We'll discuss this. We'll give you a little background on this as well. But let's start off with Bengal. And we'll also discuss a mini storm that our wonderful Manisha caused on Twitter, which is still swirling. Little eddies of the storms are still swirling around on social media. And
I'm severely regretting not adding it as a top headline of the week.
But on this one, I'm sure every one of this panel will have a different take. I don't see a consistent take on this. But let's start with Bengal election, because Samrat is here, and I'm sure he's... First of all, Samrat, you've been in Bengal for how long now? Since when? When did you go there, and you've been camping out since when?
2019 Pujo, Durga Pujas. So 1.5 years.
Oh, so you've seen this unfold in like slow-mo over there, huh?
Yeah.
Tell us a little about the Bengali press, because while someone gets in a vote and that's all fine, it's important that there is some sort of ankush from the media. Or is the bhakti for Mamta the same as bhakti for Modi, that now that she's in power, no one is going to question her, at least in local media? I mean, it doesn't matter what Rahul Shiv Shankar and Arnab sitting in the Bombay studios say. Is there enough of a voice in Bengal to hold her accountable?
There is definitely polarization, on all sides. And so basically it's the Delhi-based or Noida-based studios which project one kind of unreality. And then that produces an opposite in Bengal. And so a large section of the Calcutta media is probably more lenient on her than they would have been in the past. In the past, many of these people were not very fond of Mamta. They would have been closer to the Congress or the left. But they've sort of made their peace with her, because basically now the BJP is seen as the biggest thug around, and and they keep sort of projecting all kinds of lies. Those lies eventually become something that perhaps hurts the Bengali identity to some extent. And that is why you will see people sort of rallying even when they don't really like Mamta, because it's just it's just something that seems like this bunch of people sitting in in Noida studios or in Lower Parel studios who are out to get her and get the Bengalis as a group almost.
And in fact, in news media, with the 20 deaths, where you had 9 who claimed were BJP supporters and 8 who were supposed to be TMC, the news media in Delhi didn't talk about the TMC workers who died. It was just that BJP workers are being punished. And in fact, like ISF and CPIM was also there. But most of the rhetoric was just ki TMC, I mean, of course, the blame mostly, I guess, rests with TMC goons, because there's also the left and the ISF that's being attacked. I don't know if it could be BJP, but it's Bengal, so it could be anything. But, still, I mean, it's a political violence that's affected all parties.
But until the time she's sworn in, who is the police reporting to? I mean, if someone is to help...
Election Commission.
So it is the Election Commission that is heading the police force until her swearing in. But is that just a formality and the cops are not going to listen to the Election Commission and therefore there was a free run? Like, if you were to pin this on somebody, who would you pin it on as far as law and order is concerned?
Well, I mean, I saw the governor, Mr. Dhankar, put out a tweet with his own picture sitting with the DGP and the Commissioner of Police. So he was clearly directly issuing instructions to those gentlemen. So he seems to have taken a hands-on charge of the state of affairs before she was sworn in.
Why Bengal gets more coverage is also because Bengal was more of a competition. I mean, there was literally no contest in Tamil Nadu. So exit polls predicted that the DMK would win, and the DMK did win, but not with the margin that people thought. It kind of makes you wonder that if the DMK had worked out its alliance maths sort of better in 2016, they could have possibly won that election as well. But what I found most interesting is, so this is actually one of my recommendations, which is the Hindu has been reporting on the CSTS post-poll survey, which they've been covering in detail. And everything indicates that the BJP was a liability for the ADMK. This is something that people said from the beginning, and the election result has sort of borne it out, because the ADMK alliance did far worse in BJP contested seats than in seats contested by any other people. And so in terms of celebration, the Election Commission got very angry and said that party workers shouldn't have congregated and burst fireworks and social distancing and all that. But it was a done thing. It wasn't... The Tamil Nadu election was actually one that I wasn't really following on the day of results, because it was just something that we sort of anticipated.
And the swearing in Tamil Nadu, when are we expecting that? And just to tell our audience, there are 234 seats in the Tamil Nadu Assembly. 159 are with the alliance, which is the DMK alliance, which has the communists and it has the Congress. DMK has 133 seats and the Congress has 18. And the NDA, AIADMK has 66 and BJP has 4 and PMK has 5. So it is quite, why is this not a sweep? It's pretty big, yeah.
It's pretty big. No, I think they assumed that ADMK would do much worse. So this is why the numbers aren't being called a sweep in terms of that. The Congress, I should say, has done better than it did last time. Like, I think in 2016, it contested in 41 and won in 8. But like you said, this time it won in 18. So it is doing better. The BJP, I think, has won in 4. So it's entering the assembly for the first time in like 20 years. But it won those seats as a result of its alliance with the ADMK. Like, I think we should be very frank. On its own, I don't think the BJP would have carried any weight whatsoever.
But the stars lost, or Kamal Hassan.
Listen, that's something we've all been saying from the beginning, but nobody was listening to us. Like, Kamal Hassan was never really he never really had a chance. It was a close contest, though. I will give him that. It was a very close contest.
The submissions of the council that represents the central government, the kind of things they say, stop being crybabies, don't behave like a jilted girlfriend or something like that. These are the kind of, this is in court. What, Solicitor General hai, Attorney General hai? Tushar, what is his? So these are the kind of submissions made. Then on the one hand, they say that the Lieutenant Governor is the government. Then they say, no, they have to deal with it directly. If I'm not wrong, Delhi has around 4 cryogenic tankers of its own, which are hardly enough to get liquid oxygen all over the city. The center is saying, we will tell Delhi where it is available. They can pick it up themselves. When the Chief Minister put out an ad that any private limited company or any public limited company or any industry that has their own cryogenic tankers, please can you give it to us? We would like to use them because you don't have enough tankers. The center said you can't do that. This is, if you start doing this, people will feel bullied. You can bully industries into giving you tankers, so you can't put out stuff like this. So it's as if that the center is doing everything it can to make sure Delhi doesn't get its share of oxygen.
Yeah. There's no other way of reading it.
So do check out Live Law and Bar and Bench and see just how the center is arguing this in court. And you can be on any side. Those arguments will tell you a lot about the seriousness of wanting to solve the issue.
And all this while there's SOS messages from hospitals on oxygen. I mean, every 2 to 3 hours, there's some hospital or the other that's saying that they're going to run out of oxygen. It's really,
Yeah.
it's
So,
very dire.
any comments on this before we move on to the Tejasvi story, Jayashree and Raman sir and Samrat? Jayashree, go first.
Yeah, so I mean, I think all this is just a function of a system that's completely overwhelmed and inadequate preparation. I mean, in Tamil Nadu, where Chennai now has over 6,000 cases a day, and what we're anticipating is that cases will dramatically go up in the next 10 days. So we haven't even reached that period yet. Even now, major private hospitals are saying that their trucks with oxygen supply are coming just in time. MGM, which is this huge multi-specialty hospital, said today or yesterday that they expect to be in a serious oxygen crisis in literally just 10 or 15 days. So and Karnataka, there have been multiple reports of deaths due to oxygen shortage. So, I mean, one big lesson is that big hospitals should install those on-site oxygen plants. And that's what the scroll story was, right? That they said that the Prime Minister announced 162, they finished only 30. But the thing is that these things are quick to deploy. Like there was that viral story on how France sent a plant. It was installed in 18 hours in that hospital in Delhi. So things can be flown in and installed in a single day. If the center really wanted to, it wouldn't stonewall this process. And it's baffling to me that they're not trying to source as many as possible. Instead, what is happening is that we're seeing our usual sort of sarkari feet dragging when it comes to foreign aid. Stuff is being stuck at customs. Bureaucratic sort of hurdles that they should have sort of expedited at this point of time, and the kind of arguments and excuses that it's coming up with in court. I never imagined that like 4 weeks after all this began, we are still getting SOS messages and we are still seeing courts saying, why aren't you giving? And the court will say something else, and then the center will respond saying something else. It's ridiculous.
I don't understand. Is there a political upside? Because I'm coming to increasingly of the view that Shah and Modi are great at making ads, but if you ask them to make the product, they don't even know what to do with the ingredients. And no one else has the guts to step in and say, guys, step aside, let me figure this out. Am I being too generous? Like, what's the political upside of being so completely incompetent that people are dying?
I don't think it's upside. It's just arrogance. That's it. And I think they know that they're going to get out of this without losing support among people. I think they have this confidence in them that this is not going to dent us politically. I don't know how.
No, I think they still believe that if they can control the perceptions, they will be able to hold the political power. So if you just notice when the oxygen thing happened, when the entire chaos started, Modi had Man Ki Baat, and in that Man Ki Baat, they brought in a doctor, they brought in a nurse. So the doctor is telling Modi, "आप घबराइए मत, ये कोरोना शरोना के वेव्स आते रहते हैं, हम इसको हैंडल कर लेंगे." So what he wants people to hear. So that's what he tried through his Man Ki Baat. So I think he still feels that if he can control the perceptions.
No, you're absolutely right. Absolutely. You're absolutely right, because even if you look at the mainstream media, it is what they're doing for him. They are still going on about how great Modi is, how hard he's working. And I think the faith is just that we can manage headlines, we'd be able to manage any crisis that comes our way.
It's been image management right through, and it's gotten him all the way, to the Prime Minister's office. So it's worked very well. But even in the case of COVID management, last year in August, I had an academic paper published in the Asia Pacific Journal whose title was Image Management over COVID Management. All I did was look at what they'd done from the beginning of the crisis until about May last year. And basically, right from the beginning, all that happened was image management over COVID management. At that time, we were all lucky, but I guess for all of us collectively, luck has run out. So, now we are truly Atmanirbhar, and if you can survive, you survive. You can't, you die.
And you generally, I think I'm seeing among the Modi fans also, at least on Twitter, that's not an indication, but still, like Smrita Prakash put out that tweet saying that just get us out of this mess, and we don't care about who dies in Bengal, something like to that effect. And I think a lot of, because I think everyone is genuinely scrambling for oxygen and genuinely worried and genuinely losing loved ones. It's just across, like सच्ची में, like there was this meme, no, कि हिंदू खतरे में है, मतलब genuinely हिंदू खतरे में है यहाँ पे.
It is,
majority population. If that's their concern, then this is like the biggest khatra that we've ever been in.
And imagine what it has led to. I mean, black marketeering, people are trying to, get these oxygen cylinders from they don't even know how to operate those oxygen cylinders. I mean, today, if somebody gets ill at my house, now the UP government is trying to, provide oxygen cylinders to the RWAs, but there is no doctor. So we don't know how much oxygen needs to be administered. It's complete chaotic, and complete panic and black marketing. I mean, imagine Remdesivir, you're getting it for 35,000, 40,000 rupees. And the state, I mean, here I don't blame just the center. In the Delhi government is equally to be blamed here. I mean, they can't control this.
Yeah, there's no
They just don't
helpline.
want
There's
to do it.
nothing. I mean, I don't even
I
see
would
what.
still fully blame the center over. I mean, I think states are accountable, state governments are accountable, but I would still completely blame the center. And also, I do blame a lot of sections of the media that are still trying to find excuses for the prime minister's complete lack of action. I mean, I think the Print had a story recently on how poor Modi needs to surround himself by, he needs to sort of fire his group of ministers or find better people to advise him. That's not the point. The point is not that the prime minister is now struggling because he has fools who are advising him. The point is that they are not looking at this as a priority, and they're not willing to look beyond the pettiness of politics and how they look or how they're perceived to actually help people. I mean, why else is Jaishankar sitting and holding meetings with ambassadors and high commissioners saying, let's stem this negative tide of news? Why is he constantly talking about we need to control our image? Like, who cares? When the government's incompetence itself in Karnataka is resulting in a lot of people dying, but Tejasvi Surya has stuck to his guns. Now 4 other people have been arrested. Oh, also one of the Muslim names that he called out, that man isn't even part of the war room. He's not employed there. So he had to put out a statement on Facebook saying his name was Khan something. He said, no, I'm not part of this. Meanwhile, there were WhatsApp forwards being sent from some groups, some right-wing Hindutva BJP groups, and they all said, here are the 17 terrorists that are killing Hindus in Bangalore. So it's appalling. Like, this is at a time when people are running out of oxygen in Bangalore. You cannot get a bed. People are working overtime for this, and you're using this to advance what is pretty much like a Nazi sort of agenda as distraction from your own incompetence. I mean, I don't have words to express how idiotic this entire thing was and how horrifying.
But how much currency does this have in Bangalore? Because we grew up with this mythology sold to us that, oh, you Delhiites are villagers. Bangalore is so cool. It is so hip. It is so cosmopolitan. All this.
Well, they elected
attitude.
him.
So,
I mean,
Yeah.
But in the larger Karnataka, how make sense of it? Like, because clearly this was a performance. I mean, he got there, there were cameras, Muslim names read out, and even someone as bigoted as him would know the optics of this. He has to be very confident about how this would benefit them to do something so disgusting.
But my thing is that what else do they have left, right? I mean, in Bengal, what is the BJP doing? The BJP is saying that the ethnic cleansing of Hindus is happening. They're saying that BJP workers were gang raped and all that. And then those BJP workers are now putting out statements saying, no, we weren't. When you have nothing else, their fallback plan is to make it about Muslims versus Hindus and Muslims trying to kill Hindus. Like, this seems to be, I mean, obviously, I don't think they've thought through the optics, because this is a terrible sort of solution to your problems. But this is something that they consistently do.
And Karnataka does have, like Bengal and like Assam and like everywhere in India, there is a section of the population which has sort of been radicalized in Hindu nationalist politics over the years. And in the case of Karnataka, it actually started quite long ago. I mean, that was the first sort of base for the BJP in the south, and especially in the Mangalore coast, down from Udupi. That part of the coast, they've had this thing going on for a long time. You might remember that pub attack in Mangalore.
Ram Sene.
Yeah.
Ram Sene.
Mangalore.
Yeah, Ram Sene.
Pramod
these
Muthalik.
have been there for a long time. They've been around for a long time.
Yeah, I feel like we like to pretend that the South is better, and I do that all the time, but it's not. I mean, this sort of ability to buy into these kind of Hindutva theories exists everywhere. It's in Kerala, it's in Tamil Nadu, it's in Karnataka. Why would people believe it? I mean, people are believing it. I feel like, I think I would personally have a lot of extended family members who would totally believe it.
I would like to talk quickly about Kangana Ranawat's permanent deplatforming on Twitter, a permanent suspension. First of all, what is a permanent suspension? Doesn't the word suspension have temporary baked into it?
No, suspension absolutely means that
To
it's...
remove.
can't they
no,
just
it is
call an
temporary, which is why
expulsion,
it's
though?
a
Like-
temporary.
No,
it's a
it says
permanent.
permanent.
Or a ban on
Because
Twitter.
suspension is temporary, no, always. You're always suspended for a few days.
Yeah, so that's what, so why do they call it permanent
Because
suspension?
permanently suspend ho gaye ho. It's an Indianism.
It's like
No, I'm saying I
I'm
think it's a more polite way to say a ban, because a ban sounds like
I see.
little wicked.
You have been permanently suspended. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
it's like
very Indian
I remember
thing
in
to say.
school either you're suspended or expelled. Expelled means don't come back. Suspend means come back. So she's been expelled from Twitter,
She's
not
been expelled
suspended.
or permanently suspended.
So also in the same week, yesterday, I don't know whether you guys know that there's an oversight board. In fact, we've done an interview. I've interviewed the Indian member of the oversight board of Facebook, which can actually overrule Facebook. That is the power given to it for cases of whether someone's been taken down or put up. But the fact that this one oversight board deals with one case every 2 months, I mean, I'm not sure how much it is cosmetic and how much real impact it'll have. They have also upheld Trump's ban, which was basically challenged on Facebook that you can't ban his page. They have said, yes, you can. So how many of us think that this is double standards? Like Rahul Shivshankar said that, I'll just quote his tweet, what he said, but anyone has a view on this Kangana ban?
Absolutely necessary. I have a conspiracy theory. I don't have a view. I think the government of India wanted her banned because she's now just super embarrassing for because more
What has she
tweets.
said?
Because in the tweet she's saying Modi show your Virat Roop of 2002.
Of early 2000.
Of early so she's right now just very embarrassing for the BJP government too. And I think they feel that before she says something stupid and permanently damages us by maybe she even knows some secrets about BJP that she can leak on Twitter or whatever. But she's basically a loose cannon. She's a liability for any political party. So I think the Modi government is also like, okay, just get her off now because it's, even
Maybe
for
we
us,
should
this is
find
being a bit.
out if the IT minister gave a verbal order to Twitter to ban her, as soon as this tweet came out, it is quite it may be a possibility.
And it's a win-win for everybody. It's a win for BJP. It's a win for Twitter.
It's a win for everyone. It's the perfect coup.
All of you listening in, the Chota Hafta, do subscribe so you can listen to the entire Hafta. We will see you again next week with the Hafta. Till then, subscribe, pay to keep news free, because when the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Thank you. Goodbye.
All the Newslaundry podcasts are available on Stitcher, iTunes, and any other podcast platform.
Please subscribe to Newslaundry. Help us keep news independent. To catch all our podcasts on news, pop culture, current affairs and sport, visit newslaundry.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
सुन लिया अफ्रीका मुफत खोरों. Not to brag or anything, but Newslaundry Hafta features in the top 50 in the world on SoundCloud in the news and politics category for podcasts. So do subscribe and see what you're missing, because when the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Subscribe, help keep news independent and free.
All Newslaundry podcasts are available on iTunes and Stitcher and any other podcast platform.